Still on drugs, we go now to Charlene Hunter-Galt's weekly series of interviews that look at solutions to the drug problem. Tonight, the mayor of Bogota, Colombia, the Latin American country most associated in the public mind with drug producing is Colombia. Charlene?
Colombia, as we've been hearing, is home of the world's most notorious drug cartel. Their home base is the city of Medellin, but their tentacles of intimidation and violence reach throughout the country. That violence has resulted in the murder of many of Colombia's judges and top officials, including the Attorney General. Just 3 days ago, a state governor was killed in what is believed to be a drug-related murder. Nearby in Bogota, Mayor Andres Pastrana has spent most of his adult life fighting the cartel. First as a journalist, winning the country's equivalent of the Pulitzer Prize for a series about drugs, and he was instrumental in organizing a series on drug dealers and abuse carried on every radio and television program and in every newspaper in Colombia. It was said to be the first cooperative effort against drugs by mass media in the world. Last year, while running for mayor of Bogota, Pastrana was kidnapped from his campaign headquarters and held for 8 days by a group known as the Extraditables, a group of drug smugglers against extradition to the United States. When I spoke with the mayor recently, he described what happened.
They picked me out of my campaign headquarters in Bogota. They took me out on a trunk of a car for a 1 hour run. That night I slept I stayed in a home outside of Bogota. I don't know really where. And next day they bring a helicopter, and they took me to Medellin, or near Medellin, to what they call a jail of the people's jail. It's a room of 3 by 4, and they are called the extraditables, the people that are against the extradition treaty. You know, they were talking always about the extradition treaty. You cannot apply the extradition treaty. They are really afraid of the extradition, and they are not in accordance to the extradition. They said they should be judged by Colombian judges, not by American judges, and that's why they are really against the extradition treaty. And after 1 week of their demands, the police rescued me because I was very near where they kidnapped the Attorney General after they killed him. So the police were searching the area. They found the place where they were having me. So that's why, by accident.
The image of the legal system in Colombia is that it's totally contaminated, either because people are totally intimidated or that they are on the take.
That's not fair.
It's not fair?
No, if you go to Colombia, that's why I think it's a lot of misinformation in the United States and all over the world what we're doing in Colombia. We have sacrificed more than 1,500 policemen. That's a fight we've been in the last 3 years. They've killed the best of our journalists. They are killing most of the judges or the police army or the army. We're fighting, and that's not corruption. If the system was corrupted, they didn't kill journalists because the journalists wouldn't talk about the problem. Or they didn't kill judges because they were doing what they want to do. So that's why I think we are having a big fight, and it's a fight that it's a fight of money. Logically, they have such amount of money to corrupt that it's very difficult to fight them. It's a $150 billion business in the States. Those $150 billion are not in Colombia. You also have to see what's happening in the States, what's happening here with the judges.
But what happens in a situation like yours when everybody knows that the cartel will carry out threats? If they threaten your wife, your children, unless you do the right thing, they see evidence that they will kill them. How do you fight that? Is it possible?
With courage.
But
you have responsibility. It's very hard. It's hard because a lot of people in Colombia are threatened right now in different camps, I told you, judges, politicians, officials, elected officials, journalists. And it's very difficult because they have threats permanently. For example, myself, I wake up every day with 14 bodyguards going to my office, or my wife, or my children. But I think we have a responsibility, and we have to look for the future, and that's why I think we have to really fight the drug problem in our own communities. We have maybe some points of corruption, not only in Colombia. I think in all over the world, with that such amount of money, it's very easy to corrupt officials. But I think we are doing a lot in the work against the drug. And sometimes the people are really not looking what we're doing. If you go and read the newspapers, you go and see the TV programs, you know that people, the journalists, are really fighting the problem of drug, saying what is happening in our own country. So I think if we could modernize our justice. We could give them best salaries. We could give them protection. So that's a way really to see one way to manage the problem.
Do you have
You know
the
how
money?
many people in the last 3 years have been arrested in Colombia because the problem of drugs, of drug trafficking? 23,000.
Have they been prosecuted?
Yes, most of them. Sometimes we have to modernize our own laws because, you know, the drug problem is a new problem. For example, in our city, I'm asking to modernize what we call the police code, to have the possibility as mayors also to go after the people selling drugs in the streets. That's a new problem we're having.
The Attorney General, who succeeded the one who was killed last year, says that trying to fight the cartel is useless, that you have to just legalize the cocaine and that you have to negotiate with them.
That's the easy way to resolve the problem. Said, okay, we're going to legalize. I don't know if it's fair to legalize a drug that is going to kill children of 10 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old. How you legalize some product that is going to kill the future of the world is the youth, because we have problems, states have problems, Europe has problems.
I guess the argument could be that you can regulate it so that 8 or 9-year-olds couldn't buy it.
But do you think it's fair that young people of 18 years buying bazuco? One cigarette, you're addict for life?
Now, bazuco, is that a new kind of...
That's a new kind of drug. That's the drug we have in Colombia, we have in Bogota.
What is it?
It's worse than crack. It's the cocaine, paste of cocaine, mix it with gasoline, with marijuana, with brick powder, put on a cigarette, 20 cents of a dollar, and once you are addict for life. How you can legalize bazuco? I don't think that's fair and that's just.
Some critics say that the U.S. has made the problem worse by having a policy of looking the other way selectively at countries where the leaders even are involved in drug dealing.
As I said before, I think the U.S. Policy is looking only attacking the supply. And it's not that the support of the state is not that the one we need. The support of the United States, for example, to our country to fight the drugs, to fight the supply is $15 million a year.
15?
15. So what's happening? That we're investing our own money, that we should invest in social projects, in fighting the drug. That is not only our problem. So I think the United States should look first. How can they help these countries giving more money, support, aid? For example, for the crop substitution, that is very important for the peasants. We're starting to have problems in Colombia because we have crops of cocaine now. Maybe if we give resources to the peasants to substitute those crops, that's an important point of view to see, for
Have
example.
you seen that work anywhere?
Yes, in Colombia. We're working with the German government in the south part of Colombia. They're working in the crop substitution with a lot of success.
But don't they make far less growing beans or corn or whatever they grow than they could make growing coca?
Depends, because if you give them the possibility not only to lend the money to a new crop, but buying the product and give subsidy, if you should give subsidy to them, it's one of the ways really to start eradicating the problem of cocaine. And they're going to start doing it in Bolivia and Peru. They're working very hard in the crop substitution programs. Also, we need money for the education and prevention program. For example, in Bogota, we are working in a special program. For us, it's $1 million program that maybe for you is nothing. $1 million. For us, it's a lot of money. And looking for those resources is very difficult for us. That's why we've been asking for international support.
What would you as mayor of Bogota do with $1 million?
I'm doing with $1 million a lot of things. I have a special program in Bogota. Now we have a special program with 55 psychologists right now working in the neighborhoods, in the parents association programs, in the community associations, in schools, public schools and private schools. We are working with a special program on prevention and education. Also, we are working very hard in the rehabilitation programs. And with this program, right now we have near 70,000 people enrolled in the program, boys between 7 and 15 years, and we hope to have enrolled near 350,000 boys in the next year in this, what we call the anti-drug program of Bogota.
What else do you think the United States should be doing?
Really, I think now we are looking the problem of drugs as a two-way war. That is not only the problem of Colombia, because sometimes they were interpoint. The problem of drug in the States is because Colombia is producing country, or Peru is a producing country, or Bolivia is a producing country, and that's we are consuming. Now I think we've seen the problem the two-way. The United States are a consuming country, and they have to fight consumption in the streets. We know that we are supplying drugs, and we have to fight the supply in our countries.
There's also been the suggestion that the U.S. decertify or deny aid to countries, drug-producing countries.
I think that's not fair also with the countries. I think we are doing a lot of things in Colombia to fight the drugs, and we need the help of the United States. The United States needs the help of Colombia.
Prime Minister Manley on this program recently called for an international strike force, kind of like an Interpol that would go in and deal with the coca crops and any other law enforcement problems across borders. What do you think about that?
I think it's difficult. They tried once to do that. I think President Reagan proposed some task force like that. I think right now, and we're seeing that it's working more unite the work that is done by the Interpol, the work's done by the police, the work's done by the own government, telling we want to be a drug-free country. That's the most important thing, because all of us are going to start fighting the drug dealers, the problems in the streets, the problems in our own communities. The circle, I think, is closing. What happened in Cuba? For the first time, Castro, 2 generals that they were supposed to be involved in the drug business, they are out of it. And you know that Cuba used to be one of the points between the United States and Latin countries in the drug smuggling. So you're starting to see that in their own countries, that sometimes people thought they were involved in drugs, they're starting to fight the problem of drugs, seeing that the people will leave them alone in the world. And that's why I think that's important fight that all the world is doing right now.
Well, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much.